Good afternoon. If you're watching this video, it's because you have responded with a yes to serve our youngest family members and guests in our nursery for our discipleship time. And we're excited to share with you and to have you participate in caring for the needs and the souls of our youngest. So let me share with you over the next few minutes some of our policy, our procedures, kind of some of our big ideas that will help you get on board with what we hope to provide while we minister to those little souls. One of the things that we've tried to do is to have a variety of different means by which we can care for children during our adult service. So during our main worship time, and teaching time there in the auditorium, we have provided back in the back there along the couches, there's some baskets that have a variety of different toys, rugs, chairs, a little bit more of a family room style space for parents with young children or babies to enjoy the service, to still be able to participate and listen, but keep their kids with them. We believe that that's a great option for kids and parents that are at various different ages or needs. We also, if you go straight upstairs, we have a nursing room, which is the room that would be on the far left if you're facing the front of the auditorium. And so that room that has the door that can close off, that's for moms who are currently nursing and want to have a private place where they can go and meet the needs of their babies. The previous room would be a room for any parent, male or female, if mom or dad wants to take a child upstairs because maybe the baby's making a little more noise than what they're comfortable with, or just wants to be able to let their child play and still be able to, again, listen and watch the service through the plexiglass window there, and feel like there's a little bit more of a private space to do that. We have both those options upstairs. So we've tried to accommodate maybe the different needs or spaces that people might feel comfortable with when they're caring for a newborn, a baby, or even a toddler. And as always, we want people to feel like their children are welcome in the service. Their noises do not discourage us, they don't bother us. They are simply part of what it sounds like when a family gathers on a Sunday morning. So we love it. So we want everyone to feel welcome and comfortable in those various environments. Now, recently, we also decided that we do need a place. There was a need for kids now who are getting a little bit older. They don't maybe sit as quietly as they used to, or mom and dad have a harder time being able to really focus and listen to the sermon because they're distracted by little ones. So it was time to begin to meet that need by opening up our downstairs nursery. So we started by doing a great remodel. We have two great rooms down there, one that's already fitted out with toys and chairs and everything that we need to be able to care for little ones. And that is the environment that you've been invited to participate in. The way we have our rotation set up, every couple will serve once every 8 weeks. That does two things. One, it means that not everybody is down in the nursery all the time, which is one of the goals that we had. But also it gives enough familiarity so that kids feel like they're really getting to know the couples that are serving and caring for them during the service. So some familiarity and yet not overburdening the time so that people don't feel like they're missing the adult service on a regular basis. We also want to be sensitive to those who are also serving in a variety of other ways on a Sunday morning. But we feel like this is a really important time to build relationship with our young ones who really are part of our family. And we have the opportunity to already begin those relationships. And this is a great way to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. We're going to go over some policy and procedures that will be important for you to be aware of in case parents ask, or if you are wondering, hey, how do we handle this? Or what would we do in this situation? We understand there isn't everything covered. We're still developing, and we will probably need to continue to refine as we get a little bit down the road or as we continue to grow. We know that is going to be needed. So please feel like you can contribute in positive ways if you see something that you think hasn't been addressed and should be, or as things come up. We want to be able to address those so that we are again doing our best to care well for the souls that the Lord sends to our care. So, with that, let me share my screen and then let's get to some of the more practical parts. Give me just a minute here. So I want to just, you'll see there, we start with a greeting. Welcome to Restored Fellowship Nursery. Your child is important to us. And I think that's the biggest part that I just want to emphasize from that first paragraph is that we want to convey to each other as well as to maybe parents that are coming for the first time or new parents that are just embarking on this journey, that we really do care for not just their children but their souls. And so this isn't just a babysitting time, this is a discipleship time. And so with that, we have some things that we think are policies and procedures that we designed that we feel help us meet that goal. And we want our disciplers to feel like they have been adequately trained to be able to support these policies and procedures, so that the well-being and learning of children is our main goal during that nursery care time. So, nursery policy and procedures. Our nursery is a safe environment. Obviously, I think we know that this is important. All of our disciplers, our nursery volunteers, have had a background check and have been trained in child safety protocol. So, if you're asking what you realize you've had the background check, but you may be wondering, well, do I know what my child safety protocol is? So that's what we're going to be covering for today, so that you are aware of what our child safety protocols are. The only one I want to highlight for this moment before we get into more of the details is that in the case of a fire or an emergency where we need to get children out of the building, we have two exits from that room. One is through the two windows that can be opened, and you could help children exit that way. That would be your second option. Your primary option would be there are two doors, one coming straight past the stairs, and to the left, there's two double doors that can be opened with stairs that go out, and then going through the kitchen and taking the kitchen door out, and that would be to the right. So both of those are exits, with the windows being a third exit. We just want to make people aware of that so that in the case there was an emergency and for whatever reason we wanted to get children out, we would use any of those three exits. In the future, we do plan on having some different policy, procedure, and safety protocol practices where we kind of walk through what that would look like and how would we do that. But for right now, I'm just communicating those verbally to you. So we will always have two disciplers in the room at all times. So primarily we need one adult for every four toddlers. We always want to have two people in the room for safety, just for accountability purposes. And of course, whenever we have a policy and we're going to go through these, I want you to hear them as a framework. This is creating a framework in which we have some flexibility. A framework that's too rigid becomes fragile, or becomes too stiff and can break too easily. So we want to have flex to it. And what I mean by that is you're going to hear our policy and procedures. These are the ideals. There's going to be all sorts of situations that come up that maybe will allow us to flex those policy and procedures based on what the need is at the moment. So again, this is a framework that we're talking about. There's purpose behind the framework, but there may be times where it's appropriate to flex that framework for the betterment and the care of an individual or a child, whether that be the parents or the child themselves. So, all of our disciplers are members of our Restored Fellowship and regular attenders. This becomes really important because that means we know you. We know you in character. We know you by your commitment to our church family. And that gives us a sense of confidence that you are for the betterment and for the good of our community as well as for the glory of God. So you're known by our community, and our facility that our room that we have down there is filled with fun, engaging, and safe toys. Those are always being checked for, so always be looking for if a toy breaks or if you pick up something that, like the other day, I found, a little piece of plastic that had come off of something at some point. So pick anything up, remove anything that you see could be a choking hazard or unsafe for kids, because that's our top priority is that our environment is safe for children. So we want our toys and all the things that the children could potentially play with to be safe from toxins and different things that wouldn't be good for kids. These toys are cleaned with a natural and safe product. That product is up on the right hand side of the door as you're in the room facing out. On the right hand side, there's two natural products that are safe to be sprayed on toys for cleaning that kills viruses and germs, but also doesn't leave any toxic residue for kids who might put things in their mouth in the future. So regular cleaning times also prevent the spread of germs and viruses. That's our biggest goals, that we are preventing things from getting shared from kids one to another. So our nursery is also a learning environment. We are a Christ-centered, Bible-practicing family of believers, and we want to disciple our little ones in some basic truths about who God is. We will include age-appropriate Bible stories, Bible songs, and activities that help little ones learn about who God is. Parents are always welcome to come and to observe and to ask questions about our nursery curriculum and teaching. Our current program follows the Big Theology for Little Hearts books by Devin Provencher. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but you can see it there in the paper, which summarizes the following 6 topics. We start with God, we move to creation, Jesus, the gospel, the Holy Spirit, and then the church. These 6 topics we will teach on a rotation. So every 6 weeks, we're coming back to repeat God, creation, Jesus, the gospel, the Holy Spirit, and the church. Our goal is that by repeating these basic theological truths, our kids are beginning to understand some basic concepts about who God is, who Jesus is, how we all got here through creation, the Holy Spirit, and of course, the church. Here's some other important nursery policies. So these are ones that, again, are creating that framework. We do not offer any snacks or food of any kind during the nursery. Sometimes kids may come with either a sippy cup or some kind of snacks. We just want to let parents know that, hey, we don't offer snacks or drinks at any time, so we're not dealing with anybody who might have an allergy or a child who might accidentally eat something that another child has brought in. So we just keep it a food neutral zone. Again, if you have a kid who won't come into the nursery unless they have their bottle, let's say, then that's a place where we can flex. So we can say, sure, let's go ahead and let this child keep their bottle because that's what will help them stay in the nursery so that their parent can go up to participate in the upstairs service. So that's an area. But as a policy, we have it as a food neutral. We don't offer any snacks and we prefer not to have kids bring in any personal snacks. We do not change diapers or take little ones to the bathroom. That makes it a little bit easy for those of us who may have had that responsibility in the past, but there's an important reason why. One, we just think for accountability and for safety's sake, we're not messing with children's bathroom needs. So if a child doesn't have a diaper that needs to be changed or needs to go to the bathroom, then we just simply text the parent. That's why it's important that we have the parent's contact phone number so that we can text them during the service. That also alleviates having to have somebody leave the room with a child. So the goal is always to not have a worker and a child alone. So we always want to keep two adults in the room at all times. And so taking a child to the bathroom or changing a diaper also makes it more difficult for us to keep that policy of keeping two adults in the room. So just to alleviate that and make it nice and simple, we'll call parents for that if necessary. And over the last year, as we've been doing nursery, I've not had to ever call a parent to change a diaper or take a child to the bathroom. So again, this is framework. There may be some circumstances in which it is okay to flex that, and for some reason, under certain circumstances, we may be able to accommodate a special situation. But this again is just creating our regular framework by which our policies we will practice this direction. We know being away from mom and dad can be a challenge for little ones. If a child does not settle or becomes unsettled during their time in the nursery, we will contact the designated parent to discuss how you would like us to continue our care for your child. So if you have a child who was dropped off and started crying, and 5 minutes later, they're still unconsolable, they're not settling down. One, we don't want to stress out the child and associate a negative experience with being in the nursery, but also because it's a really small room, it becomes really loud and disruptive to the other kids. So we want to be able to give it a reasonable amount of time. If the child isn't settling, let's go ahead and just call mom or dad, whoever the number that they've designated, text that number, have them come down, see if they can get the child settled. And then maybe we're talking about, hey, how do we set up now a little bit of a protocol to get the child more adjusted to coming into the nursery if that's what mom and dad would like. We know that kids often like to bring a favorite toy or blanket with them. We ask that kids keep their special toys and or treats with mom and dad for the duration of their time in the nursery. So again, this is policy, but we can flex with that. So if you have a kid who won't come in without their stuffy or a pacifier, that's totally fine, right? We're not going to make the policy as more important than the child participating. And so we may have a couple Sundays where a child needs to have something extra special with them in order to be able to come into nursery. Obviously, the problem is that it could be problematic if ever all the other kids want to play with that kid's stuffy and now that becomes an issue. So we can work through those things, but as a policy, that's where we would bend. Again, we want to have some flexibility for kids who may need that. If your child is exhibiting symptoms like fever, vomiting, diarrhea, excessive coughing, contagious rashes, or other signs of illness, they should not attend the nursery until they are symptom free. So typically, if you have a fever, rash, or any of these other presenting issues, we would like to see you be 24 hours free of those symptoms before you return. Obviously, there's a lot of kids who struggle with seasonal allergies and a clear runny nose. Again, having our policy gives us some flexibility to understand, at this age, it's almost impossible to get kids that don't are completely clear of all of these types of symptoms. So we don't want to be so rigid with it that then we're excluding kids for long periods of time from being able to participate. So where be aware of where we can be flexible while still honoring then the policy. Our children, new or returning, may only be released to their designated parent or pickup person as specified on the sign-in sheet. Again, we're a really small community, so we know most everybody really well. We're still a bit more family style, which is beautiful and great. As we get more large and we begin to have people that we're not as familiar with, then it becomes more important that we are returning the child to the person who's designated on the sheet. There's a lot of different reasons why, but that becomes more important, especially with people that are new or people that we don't have as much familiarity with. Our disciplers may use redirection, cues, or verbal correction when dealing with caring for children during the service. If there's a consistent and or concerning behavior, pattern of behavior, then we will notify the parent. If we've got a behavior that becomes destructive, like hitting or biting, obviously you want to give a cue if we need to separate a child temporarily. But if there's something that we think is more serious or we think is a repeated behavior that we're not seeing the child respond well to the cues or redirection, then we'll want to contact the parent and just let them know, hey, how can we help you with this? How can we partner with you? Because we'd love to have your child participate, but we also need to help them with some of the behaviors that aren't others friendly. So how can we partner with you to figure out what would work best? If you have questions or concerns about that, as far as talking to the parents, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm there most services, so you can either just give me a text or call me afterwards so that I can have that conversation with parents. I'm very happy to be able to do that. We offer other spaces in our building for the little ones, as we've already covered. So know that these are options that you can encourage parents to try out if things aren't working out for leaving their child in the nursery. Sometimes, especially when they're a lot younger, they're not quite ready. So they may only make it through half of the service in the nursery, and then maybe they go upstairs or to the third story there, where they can still play and have a little bit more freedom and not feel like they're disruptive to the service. Our policy and procedures are designed to make our nursery a safe and fun place for all little ones. We understand that there may be exceptions to our policies and procedures. Please contact the nursery lead, which is myself, if there is a need you and or your little one may require to make their stay with us more successful. Again, we desire to partner with all parents who want to put their child in the nursery. And so we want to be available and we want to have our policies and procedures in place, but be flexible with them so that we're partnering well with parents to make it a positive and successful experience. So now let's get to some actual policy procedures. In other words, what does it look like when you show up on a Sunday morning? So we ask that our disciplers arrive at 10:30 so that you can get your stuff put away. You can check in with the nursery lead, which is myself, or whoever else I might designate for that week in my absence. We have downstairs, if you come down the stairs over to the left on the back of the wall is a black cabinet. You can open up that cabinet. There's shelves in there. It's a great place to store purses, books, Bibles, anything that you might have brought with you to church that you need to have a safe place to put it. You can get your stuff put there after you've checked in. And then just to do a once over in the nursery, make sure the toys are all ready to go, the lights are on, that there's a new check-in sheet ready for parents to get their children signed in. We all will start the service together. So we'll head back upstairs where we'll do our worship and an introduction to our service, our welcome time together. Once worship time is over and the prayer is in process, that's when we would ask you to transition downstairs to arrive before the family so that you're ready for check-in. Greet families and check in children using the sign-in sheet. You can open the door to let the kids in, have parents use that sign-in sheet. Again, make sure you get their contact information. What's the text that you would use to contact them during the service if need be? And again, we're still a little bit informal because we're a very small group. But as we have new people, this becomes more important that we have a way of being able to contact mom or dad if their child should need. At the end of the service, please stay in the room until the last child is picked up by their parents. Clean up toys and play spaces once the children have gone. There will be a deep cleaning done once every month. That's where we vacuum and deep clean all the toys. But just for Sunday mornings, we just want the toys put away in an orderly way. The table sprayed down, anything that you thought might have particularly been chewed on or put in somebody's mouth. If you see something that you thought, this probably needed to be cleaned, go ahead and clean that just so that we are making sure we're taking anything as far as spot cleaning seriously for that particular day. For our in-depth procedures, parent drop-off, a new sign-in sheet will be placed in the nursery by the lead. That's myself. Please encourage parents to fill out the form, especially their contact information. If families would like to review the expectations for the nursery, encourage them to read the printed document for parents. If there are any further questions, please direct them to the nursery lead, which again is myself. We will have a parent copy there in the nursery that you can easily access to give to parents if appropriate. Also, we're looking to get these online so that they could also be found there. If there are any special accommodations needed by a child or family, please make sure to discuss this thoroughly. If there is a concern with meeting a need, contact me. If someone has a special request or their child needs a special some special helps, then let's see what we can do, how again we can partner to make that happen so that the parents feel like we can take good care of their child in a reasonable way, and then they are free to be able to go and enjoy the service, knowing that their kids are in good hands while they're with us. So now let's look at what are the expectations for the actual time that you are with the children. It's actually a short period of time. It usually runs 45 minutes, sometimes 50, but usually 40 to 45 minutes is about the average time, and it goes fairly quickly. By the time the kids get dropped off and checked in, and you have a basic, "Hi guys, welcome to Sunday morning." We usually start off with a fun music time. We pull out the basket that has the musical instruments in it. We hand out the musical instruments. On the TV, there is a YouTube channel that has a select amount of songs on it. These are the same songs that we will be using. They correlate to the lessons that we will be having. And so then we have just an opportunity for kids to do some hand motions, to sing some songs, to maybe do a little marching around the room. It's just to get little bodies moving. This just helps them get some of their wiggles and some of their energy out so that they can enjoy then the next part of the session, which will be our teaching time. So we have a total of 6 prepared lessons for our little disciplers each week. We will rotate through these 6 lessons, then they will repeat the lessons again. So lesson plans can be found here. So in your email, you'll have a copy of this document and you can click there and you'll see a teaching plan, a lesson plan that you can pull up, and that will give you the specific books and then what each week, what book is to be taught. And the books will be on the top shelf of the right-hand side of the bookshelf towards the back of the room. So they'll be designated where they are, and so you'll know by which week you're in, whether we're talking about God, creation, Jesus, the gospel, the church, or the Holy Spirit. So the intention is for our little disciplers to start with reading the book for the week and learning the big truths. So the big truths come out of the additional pages. So for God, one of the truths about who God is that he's three in one. He is triune. And that's exactly what it means. And so we would repeat triune. Who can say triune? And triune means what? Three in one. Now, little tiny kids don't understand what that means, but they're already beginning to become familiar with the language to the concepts that we know that they'll grow into. So each week will be printed out. There will be a book in the nursery for you that will have each week's, not just the book, music ideas, as well as then the themes or big truths that you may want to just throw out during the time that you have the children there. So we often, for God, the true statement is God is great. And of course, we sing the God is great song that correlates to our learning about God. So I will often say, hey, everybody, God is, and the kids will respond with, great. So that's just an idea of how we want to encourage you to help our little ones learn these big truths about who God is, as well as Jesus, the gospel, the Holy Spirit, the church, and creation. So each of the books can be read. All the kids will not have the same attention span. They are developmentally at different ages. Some of the older kids can ask questions. Some of the older kids are much more engaged in your teaching. But the little ones, they're just hearing it. They may still be playing with blocks or they may be toddling around, but it doesn't mean that they aren't learning. And so we're already beginning to shape those big ideas in their little hearts. This is child discipleship. At this time, we have primarily infants and toddlers, but in cases when we do have older children visiting or new attendees, we can add to these lessons to make it more engaging. That means that if we have older children that are participants, and we do have some, we can now begin to add more. If we get through the story and they're still engaged, we can use other books that are there on the shelves that correlate to the same theme. There's several other books that talk about God that are not part of our big idea series. And so you can use that. You can also use a series of coloring sheets that will correlate to, again, our big themes. And so we'll try to make it a little bit more challenging and in-depth for children who are ready developmentally to go there. Those will all be available for you in the room. So let's, after we've done our music and our Bible time, our teaching time, now we just have free play. And really, by the time we get to probably 5 to 10 minutes of free play, we can start to hear the music starts and the chairs are starting to rattle around, alerting us to the fact that the service is almost over. So at that point, we usually start our cleanup time. And by the time we get the nursery cleaned back up and put back into place, moms and dads are already arriving to pick their kids up. So at parent pickup, keep the nursery door closed during drop off as well as pickup. It's important that we don't have kids just wandering off, and they do. As soon as the door is open and they know people are out there, they want to take off. We want to make sure that kids only get dropped off to their specific parent. Once they're with their parent, They're not in your care any longer. You're not responsible for them, but we want to make sure they get back to their parent and their parent knows I'm passing this child back off to you. All children, new or returning, may only be released to their designated parent or pickup person as specified on the sign-in sheet. So we want to make sure that we are returning kids back to their specific parent or the designated person that is going to be picking them up for that day. So begin to clean up toys during the last 5 minutes of nursery time. Sort all the toys back into their containers. There's a blocks. There's a food container for the food toys. You can easily tell where the toys go into the different baskets. Separate toys that need to be cleaned more thoroughly. So anything that you think needs to be cleaned more thoroughly, just put it out on the little table. Finish with a general cleanup by wiping down the traffic surfaces like the table, potentially chairs, or anywhere else where kids might have been touching or lingering on. The lead will do a deep clean monthly at a different time. So it's not about doing a deep clean that morning, but more of just a spot clean in a general organization. So the other thing that I'll close with is the nursery will remain open during our family lunchtime. Kids are invited to play in the nursery as their parents allow. The door must remain open at all times when kids are in there playing, as it is officially unsupervised playtime. Kids are under the supervision of their parents, and our disciplers are no longer responsible for the care and or supervision of children during that free time. We are working on getting the door changed so that it can easily open all the way and be latched during that lunchtime. So again, it's an open room where kids can come and go, but any number of adults can have access to looking inside the room to make sure that kids are safe and being supervised, even if it's informal. I know that's probably not covering every question or every policy or procedure that you could think of. I know, like I said before, that we will continue to be growing this um, I don't know how to make this bigger. As we continue, sorry, me and technology. Okay, it looks like we've come to the end of our training video. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for serving. We're just blessed to have you. And we look forward to how the impact of just this short period of time, once a week with these littles, is going to have on their life for years to come. So we're establishing sweet relationships now at these young ages, and we look forward to a future of being doing family life together in the future. Thank you again for your service. It is so deeply appreciated.